In our first video, we installed BookStack on a cloud server with terminal commands. In this video, we're going to review all of BookStack's features, its organization, templating system, permissions, searching, tagging, and more. By the end of this video, you're going to have everything you need to make a choice if BookStack is right for your business or your personal knowledge base. So let's get started. If you missed the first video in this series on installing BookStack on your cloud server or you're new to BookStack, I wanted to make sure that we defined what the application is. BookStack is an open source platform for creating, organizing, and sharing documentation through a user-friendly interface. Before we get into our demo, I wanted to make sure that you understood some core concepts of BookStack. BookStack, as the name might imply, is based on the concept of a library. The structure is baked into the application and cannot be changed. The top level of organization in BookStack is the shelf. Each shelf can contain one or more books. Books are a collection of chapters or pages that relate to a single subject. Chapters are an optional organizational level within a book that can group multiple pages together. And then lastly, you have pages, which is the core unit of BookStack where all the documentation guides and notes are written. If you've used other wiki or documentation applications, then you'll know that there's typically an unlimited number of levels to the organization, but with BookStack, you only have 4 levels. There is no unit below a page, and you can't put pages underneath pages. What seems like a limitation is part of the BookStack charm. It's been my experience that when people and organizations are forced to work within the structure, their documentation is cleaner and more organized. The unlimited organizational structure of many platforms can lead to documentation chaos. There are some features that allow this organization to be a little more flexible, and that is that books can belong to multiple shelves. So if you have an onboarding documentation book, that book can be shared between multiple department shelves. Also, whole pages or sections of content in those pages can be included or embedded into other pages. That means if you have, let's say, a list of HR personnel in your HR shelf, you can take that list and embed that into other department pages. So when you update the source HR list, then it's going to update in all the locations that it is embedded. If these concepts are not clear, don't worry, I'm going to show you them in action in our demo right now. All right, so here we are in our BookStack install that we put as a subdomain to our demo URL, cuethepast.com. So you can see up here on the top right, we have shelves and books. If we click on shelves, obviously there's nothing in this BookStack, and so we're not going to see any shelves created. So if we wanted to create one, we just click on Create One Now. Here I can add a name and put in a description here. I can also add in a cover image right there, and I can also tag this shelf. I'm going to be going over tags in more depth in just a minute, but for right now, I'm just going to click Save Shelf. Now this view is inside the shelf. If I go up one level, then I can see the logo right there with my description. So if I go back in, this is where I can create books. I can actually create books outside of any shelf, and I can do that by clicking on here and creating a book, or I can click on the shelf and create a book in here. If I do that, that's going to automatically be created inside of this shelf. So why don't we go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to name this book BookStack. This is where we're going to put our instructions for installation in here. So I'm going to copy and paste the description. For the cover image, I'm going to put the BookStack logo. And as far as tags go, I'm going to put applications, and then I'm going to say BookStack. There. And I'm going to go over page templates in a little bit, but this would allow you to be able to select page templates that would be associated with this book. So I'll show you that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and save. Now that I've created this book, I'm going to go back up to our shelf and go over here to Edit. Right here, you can see books on this shelf. So you can actually grab these books and take them out of the shelf, or you can drag them back in, and then you can use these arrows to manually set the sorting order of how these books are displayed inside of this shelf. You can see that I'm inside this book by looking up here at the breadcrumb, shelves, Scala Hosting, and BookStack. I can go ahead and create a new page, or I can create a chapter. If you remember, a chapter can be a collection of pages. That's a way of organizing pages inside of a book, but we're just going to go ahead and create a new page. Now, the first thing that you'll notice when you're in the page editor is this bar up here. And this bar looks a lot like the kind of thing that you would find in any kind of word processor. That's definitely one of the best features of BookStack, is how easy and intuitive it is to create and build pages. Despite the word processor look of BookStack, it's actually a wiki, and this is just an editor that sits on top of the wiki. So if I were to copy some content from another BookStack and paste it directly into here, you can see it has a nice page here that's all been formatted nicely. If I wanted to edit this page in a different editor, then I would have to go up here to this menu, where I have a couple of different editor options. In this case, I'm going to be selecting Stable Content Markdown Editor. When you switch between editors, there's a possibility that some information can get lost, and this is just warning you that that's a potential thing that could happen. In this Markdown editor, you can see on the left-hand side is the code, and you get a preview on the right. So if you're that kind of person that likes to be really aware of what the code looks like and making sure that you have really clean pages and you're not copying over garbage stuff from other websites, then this is a really great way of doing that. Now, if I wanted to take a look at the new WYSIWYG editor that is in beta testing, I can go ahead and select that. And that's going to give me a brand new bar with some new features here. Because this is in beta testing right now, I'm going to do this demo on the default WYSIWYG editor. All of these options here on the top bar on this side are pretty standard options that you would find in a pretty solid WYSIWYG editor. A couple of call-out features is the ability to create tables fairly easily, like you would in Word or in Google Docs. You can embed photos, but you can also embed different types of code. So like this block right here is just an option. So let's go ahead and make a space for this. It's just an option right here to embed this code, and you can select the code language here on the left-hand side, and whatever you type in here is going to show up in a little code block. When you save this page, you have the ability to click over here on an icon, and it's going to copy that code, which is really great for copying and pasting code. You can also come in here and create a drawing with Draw.io. So I can come in here and create all kinds of drawings here like this, and go ahead and save that, and then it's going to pop it right into my document there. Another really cool feature is the ability to create these collapsible sections. So if I select on this and expand it, then I can come in here and add whatever content that I want. Then when I save this page, I can just click on this and it will expand or contract the content there in an accordion. Now I have the ability to save different versions of this document with the changelog. So I can come up here and I can say version 1 there, and then that will save this as version 1. And then I can come back later and look at all of my different versions that I've created. Sometimes when you copy and paste content from another website into BookStack, it can give you some really bizarre HTML code, and you can take a look at that in the HTML source code editor, which is really nice. Over on the right-hand side, you can see that there's some icons here. If you click to expand that, you can see that you have the ability to tag pages, to add attachments, to use templates if they're available for this book, or to define this page as a template. If you check that box, it makes this available in the template library, and also you could manage your comments right here. Now that I've given you a breakdown of the WYSIWYG editor, how to switch between editors, how to make versions of your document, and some of the WYSIWYG editor feature highlights, I'm going to show you how to import a document into your book. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. We're not going to save this document. You can see this page that we just created here. It's highlighted purple right here. That means that it is a draft of a document but hasn't been published yet. This is only going to be visible to the person that has the right privileges to see documents that haven't been published yet. I am inside of the BookStack book, and I have associated actions that I can use for this book right here. To import a document, I need to go to the books level and click on this icon right here, which is import. In the BookStack installation video, I provided a link to get a PDF document of the BookStack installation instructions with all of the terminal commands so that you could follow along with the installation video. I also included in that download a portable zip file that is the BookStack page that you can import here so you can have your own copy inside of BookStack. So if you haven't accessed that link yet, then go over to openappguide.com/bookstack-install. So if I click choose file, and there is my file loaded. Now I'm going to click validate import. It's going to ask me where to put this, and I want to put it in the BookStack book. So I'm going to go ahead and click run import. So you can see that was super fast. This gives us the complete guide to installing BookStack on a Scala Hosting cloud account. And you can see all of the instructions with all of the commands there that can be copied and pasted into the terminal. Now that we're looking at a published page, there are some actions on the right-hand side that are associated with this page. We have edit, copy, move, and the revisions. So to show you the revisions system, I want to go in here and just make a really quick edit. And then I'm going to set the change log here so I can name this. And then I'm going to save the file. Now if I go to revisions, it's going to show me all the different changes that have happened to this file. And if I click on the changes here, you can see this is our test change that we were typing into the change log. If we check this, and we can see that's the thing that's changed in this document here. So all of the changes are going to be highlighted so you can easily see what's happened to that document. If I want to go back to page revisions, then I can go over here and preview any of these or restore them right there. Now there's a couple more options here on the bottom right. This one right here designates that you are going to watch this page. That means if there's any changes to this page, then you're going to get notified of those changes. And you can also designate this as favorite. So if I click on that and say that it's one of my favorites, then I can come over here and look at this menu item here, my favorites, and it's going to list this page. And lastly, if you're going to export this document, then you have several different options. You have HTML, PDF, text, a markdown file, or a portable zip file. This is one of the newer features of BookStack, is to be able to have these portable zip files where it will zip everything up in that document and then you can easily install it. That's how this document was exported and we've installed using that portable zip file. Now over here on the left-hand side, you can see that there's some page navigation. This is all based on the H tags that you use. If you're going to use an H1 or an H2 or H3, it's going to organize this page navigation according to how you've set that up in your document. You also have some tags up here on the left-hand side. If you click on that, it's going to show you all of the books, chapters, shelves, or pages that have been tagged with that same tag. The search capabilities of BookStack are quite advanced. We found this page by clicking on one of these tags and it brought us here. You can type anything in the search field right here and it will take you to this page. You can also go to your URL/search and it's going to take you to this page. On the left-hand side, we have a lot of filtering options, if that be terms or exact terms, content type, types of tags or multiple tags, and you can also select things like viewed by me, not viewed by me, permission set. So you have a lot of different options that you have here to filter your search results. You may have noticed up here in the search bar is the tag that we selected, but it has brackets around it. That's because that is the syntax that's being used to do this search. If I wanted to change some of my search options here, you're going to see the syntax change up here as well. So I'm going to say BookStack as my search term. I'm going to only look in a page in a book, and I'm going to say viewed by me, and I'm going to update the search. So now we're getting the same article here, but you can see that the syntax has changed right here. This is telling us that the type that we're looking in is a page in a book, that it's viewed by me, and also that we're using the Open App Guide tag, but then we're using the search term BookStack. So you can actually copy and paste that and send that to somebody, and then all they would have to do is paste it in the search bar, and they would get the same search results that you do. You can also view all of the tags that are being used for your site, and you can do that by going up here to Shelves and View Tags. You can see the URL is just /tags, and this is going to give you a list of all of the tags that are being used and where they're being used, if it's in a page, chapter, book, or a shelf. And each of these are links, so if I wanted to see the hosting providers for the shelves, then I would select that, and then it's going to shoot me out to the search page and show me all of the tags here, and then I can further refine on that. Now, these are the actual tags, but you can also define a tag and a value. So each of these tags can have multiple values associated with them. So here we have the wiki tag, and there's several different types of wikis, and so you could make those values of the wiki tag. So to see that, you can go over here to unique values, and you can see our wiki tag and our BookStack value. If we had multiple wikis like MediaWiki or DocuWiki, we could tag them and they could be values, and they would all be listed here. Next, I want to show you the really powerful include feature that BookStack allows you to embed whole pages or sections of content inside of other pages. This is really great because you can designate a master source of content, and when that master content changes, then it's going to change in all of the pages that it is embedded in. To show you that, I'm going to go over to my BookStack books, and then I'm going to create a new page. So I'm going to right click on that, open that in a new window. This is going to be our demo right here, and I'm going to save that page. Now here on the Install BookStack and Scala Hosting page, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select some text. You can see here that it gives me a tooltip type pop-up right here where I can copy the location of this text in a URL. So if I copy that and go over to my page here and click Save, and I click on this link, then it's going to take me to that page. But not just that, it's going to take me to this specific section that I highlighted and give me some little dots around to show me that's what's being referred to. You can also come up here and select some text, and instead of providing a link, you go over here and click this button, and that is going to give you a bit of short code here. If you select that, and then go over to your previous document here, edit that, and I'm just going to drop that little short code here into this, and when I save that, then you can see that it's actually including this directly from the previous document. So if I go up here and I edit this, I'm going to say this has changed here, and I click Save. Then if I go over to my document here and refresh the page, then you can see that this has changed, has been added to this document. So let's take a closer look at this shortcode. You can see right here that we have opening and closing curly brackets, and then we have an @7. That 7 is the article number that's in the database, and then you have a # right here that is the ID tag inside of that article. So if we go over here to this article and click Edit, and we take a look at the code view here, and we scroll up to the very top, you can see this is the ID tag that's being pulled in that shortcode. You can see that right here. One great thing that you can do is just delete this ID tag right here. So you just have @7, and if we click Save, then it's actually going to give us the whole page in our demo page right here. One last thing that I want to show you with that pop-up tooltip is that you can, let's go ahead and exit out of this and go back. If I select a section right here, then it's going to give me the ability to click on the jump to the section in the editor. If I click on that, it's going to put this right at the top of my editor, so I'm editing that section. But then also, I can select this content right here, and I can click comment. If I'm commenting here, right here, it's going to include this reference. So let's go ahead and save that comment. Then you can see there's a comment here and there is a reference. If that's getting clicked on, then it will take you to that section right there. That way you can make really specific comments on the content of your pages. Next, I just want to really quickly go over templates. If I go over here to edit this page and I go into my menu here, and I designate this page as a template and then save that. Next time when I create a new page inside of this book, then I have the option of selecting this page as a template. So if I select that, then it's going to pre-populate this page for me as a template, which is a pretty cool feature. You can actually set default templates for a book. So if I go up to this book level here and I click on edit, now I'm editing the book, and I can go over here to the default templates and I can select from my library of templates here. I can select that there, and now I've designated that the default template is this. And if I save that book and I go to a new page, then it's going to automatically put in this template for me, which is super nice. Now, if I go back out of this document and click on sort, then you can see I have the ability of changing the sort order here inside of the book so that it's displayed in a particular order. You can also pick a auto sort option that you create inside of your administrator settings. Next, let's go over permissions. And to do that, let's go to our BookStack installation page. Here on the right-hand side, I have the option to set the permissions for this page. You can set permissions on a page, chapter, book, or shelf level. So if I click on this, then you can see that everyone has the inherent defaults of this. The inherent defaults are set in the admin settings, but if I wanted to create some specific permissions for this page, then I just need to come up here and say, well, for the public, I would like them to only be able to view. And if you're an editor, then I want them to be able to update and delete this page. So this gives you really granular role-based permissions on this page. Now, anytime you set permissions on a chapter or a book, these permissions are cascaded down into the lower levels. So if you set certain permissions on a book, then those are going to be inherited by the chapters and the pages. If you set a different permission on a lower level, then those are going to override the cascaded levels that are coming from higher up. So if you had a department shelf that everyone in the department has access to, then you can have some dedicated books, chapters, or pages that managers can only access. Now, shelves are going to behave a little differently. If you go over here to the shelves and then you edit the permissions of the shelf, you're going to get this notice right here. This is basically saying that a single book can belong to multiple shelves, and that could lead to conflicting permissions if those permissions were automatically cascaded down into the books. So shelf permissions are not automatically cascaded. You can set the permissions here, and then as a separate step, copy the permissions to the books by clicking here, Copy Permissions. Now, these are the default permission levels, editor, public, and viewer. To create new permission levels or to change the permissions on these levels, you would just go up here to Settings and Roles. I can create a new role by clicking here, and you can see all of the different options that you have. You have certain system permissions, or you have certain asset permissions here to create, view, edit, or delete in these different categories here. Here in the admin settings, we have a bunch of different controls that we can set. Under the settings tab here, we can make our site public. We can also make our images more secure, and we can disable comments here. Under customization, we can name our site. We can specify the default page editor. We can also change our light and dark logos and the color scheme for each of those, and also create footer links, which is pretty great. Under registration, you have the ability to enable registration and then specify what level of permissions people come into when they register for the site. You can also restrict registration to specific domains, so you can only allow registration if people have a specific company email address, and then you can require them to confirm by email. Here you can create sorting rules for your books. Under the maintenance tab, you can see we have a recycle bin. So when things get deleted, they get put in here, and you can access the recycle bin. You can empty this, or you can bring any one of these back. You can do a system-wide cleanup of your images, so it's deleting redundant images. You can send an email test. So while we're here, we can see if we have our email set up correctly, and it looks like we have. This action here will rebuild our cross-item references and index them in the database. The audit log is going to give you a full breakdown of everything that's happening on your site, which user has done which action. You can use all of these filtering options to drill down on what's happening on your site. Under users, this is going to list all of your users. You can create new users here. I think we've come to the end here of our overview of BookStack's features. We really covered a lot, and I hope that you can see the real potential of using this platform. It's a really slick documentation platform with a lot of built-in features that allows you to get up and go right away if that's for your business or personal knowledge base. For more instructional videos on how to install and use open source applications like this, go over to openappguide.com.